Deep Threat fans, we are here for you. You are getting ready for fantasy playoffs and college football playoffs. And what a decision the committee has to make today at noon. Do they snub out Texas, Alabama, Georgia? But first, let me introduce the main man who brings us all together every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday, KJAM.
What's up, guys? Hey, sorry, I'm dragging today, so Wheels is stepping up this one for me. It's been a long day, been a long night, and it's gonna be a long morning. All right, Wheels, why don't you run this one for me today, baby?
First, let's get into, obviously, Thursday night's game. You had Dallas defeat the, I don't know if you want to say low-full Seahawks, but a Seahawks team that seemed to struggle on defense at times and offense. But Geno kind of turned into Geno, had some struggles late in the drive. I don't want to say handed the game over, but definitely didn't help. And pretty much how we expected. We wanted to take Seattle, but it was just hard not to take Dallas. We said, I don't know what was that score, that freaking game on Thursday. Did they cover the spread?
They
did not cover the spread.
They did not.
We did say don't cover, but they did. We were wrong on the under.
Oh no, I didn't see the under. I said.
You said the over.
I said in the show, because I was talking to Aaron, and I said in the show that I can see this game because I know every Thursday game has been kind of like that.
Ticky-tacky.
Low scoring, maybe 45 total game. And it's been over the last 2-3 years. I said I can see this game being a tit for tat. And what my score was 35-31.
Yeah. It was 76 total points scored in that game. They looked like some Big 12 teams not playing defense.
It was pretty fun to watch, especially when you bench DK Metcalf.
Oof.
It was phenomenal to watch.
Oof. But you I can't remember the corner's name for Dallas. Oh my god. He had another interception.
Deron
Bland had another interception.
But it wasn't a pick six. So
it was not a pick six.
So it was just an interception.
Yeah.
So that didn't matter.
So moving on from that game, obviously we're going to have to talk a little bit about college football. I know we don't cover that a lot on the show, but it's something
like talking about it.
We love to cover because the prospects that are coming out.
Yeah, especially one of the last weeks of the year.
So the teams now that you have to consider, in my opinion, make the playoff regardless of injury to their quarterback because they did win a title is going to have to be Michigan,
why don't we
Washington, and FSU.
Okay, right. So those are kind of the teams. Those are the teams that are guaranteed.
Yeah, those are 1, 2, 3. I don't. Yeah. I keep seeing people say, "Oh, FSU doesn't deserve it." You cannot punish a team for losing a quarterback yet still winning. That would be like what the Eagles did going to the Super Bowl and said, no, we're not going to have you. We're going to have a different team. You can't have that. I don't care. You can keep your opinion like that to yourself, but you're not going to snub out a 13-0 FSU team even without their quarterback because it's not their fault.
That's pretty cool.
I didn't know we could do that.
Oh, that's what happens when you start to figure things out some days.
The question becomes you have now teams who have one loss: Texas, Bama, Georgia, Ohio State.
7 teams, right? Or 6 teams or something like that?
1, 2, 3, 4 teams.
Okay.
Yeah, you have Texas, Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia. Who gets in your mind? I think Texas gets in.
All right, so you see Texas, Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia. Okay. Now, it is a title game. Title games matter.
Yes.
Alabama beat Georgia yesterday in a very close fashion.
It was a good game.
It was a very good game to watch. Alabama has one loss from the beginning of the year against Texas.
Against Texas, it was week 2.
It was week 2 of the year when Alabama had lost all of its pieces and had changed into a whole new team. So that loss doesn't count much.
Okay.
It does not count much.
I still count that loss.
I know you count that much. But when you look at the old guys sitting in chairs watching that game, that loss doesn't count much because Alabama is head over heels better than when they were week 2. Which is a reason why Ohio State kept climbing in the charts and ranking higher, because Ohio State with Kyle McCord looked horrible at the beginning of the year and slowly progressed and got better and better and better.
So do you think a one-loss Ohio State team is better than a one-loss Alabama team, even though they won the SEC championship?
So I think if you had to rank these teams, And obviously, being an Ohio State fan, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But I think if you had to rank these teams, it's an obvious number one in the country, Michigan.
Yeah.
Because Georgia was number one. Michigan finally came out in the second half of that game yesterday and dominated, which is kind of what I expected. I did not expect Iowa to do anything in that game. They've got some great pieces, but they just don't have it all in like
they have no offense.
A whole team. Yeah.
They have no offense.
And then the second team in the country has to be Washington. They beat Oregon back-to-back times, like within like 5 weeks, and they beat them by 3 in a very high-scoring fashion, showing that they can put up points on the board. So I think the second team in the country has to be Washington.
And I completely agree with Washington.
And then when you move to the third team, and I struggle with this one because I still don't think this team is that good. Florida State struggled against Louisville yesterday the entire game.
Yeah.
Okay, and then my issue with the Florida State situation is that Florida State lost their starting quarterback. That was very obvious in yesterday's game.
Yeah, but
very obvious in yesterday's game. So when you pay attention to that game alone, Florida State still has not slowed down.
No,
so that's why I have them. That's why I have them at third in the country.
Yeah.
So at third in the country, you'd have to put Florida State, and then when you move from there, right?
It's either Texas
you get into
or
a team who's a one-loss team.
Yeah.
And I would argue Texas hasn't beat a top 5 team.
No.
Alabama, no matter their loss at the beginning of the year, which was early, had just beat a top 5 team who I would argue is a shadow of any team that is in the top 5, but they are a top 5 team. They were ranked 1 in the country at the time that Alabama beat them. So Bama, should move all the way up to that 4 spot.
Which I don't hate.
And then Texas should slide to the 5 spot.
And Ohio State should be 6.
And Ohio State should be 6, right? So, like, that's where it should sit. I still think, personally, that Ohio State is the best one-loss team in the country because they lost to Michigan, who should have been...
At home, you got to remember, they lost to Michigan in Michigan,
Well, and Michigan should have been the number 1 team in the country, not the number 2 team in the country. Because
they should have been the number 1 for weeks.
But Michigan had already beaten good teams, whereas Georgia had not covered or beaten anybody. They were only getting a favoritism pick to be the number 1 team in the country, which is why I was exhausted that we lost to the best team in the country, and it didn't look like that according to the commission.
Only by a touchdown, too. And McCoy was driving.
Right. It's a very close game, no matter which way you look at it, right? Like, that's not my issue.
So, I'm going to agree with you that Bama's 4. I'll agree, but... this is how I think the committee is going to play it out because, like it or not, the SEC is the breadwinner for the NCAA. That's where their money is. That's where most of the revenue, I feel like, is made from TV deals, merchandising, and just everything else. It's going to be Michigan, Washington, Alabama, Georgia. I think they snub out FSU. I do. I think they snub out FSU because they want both SEC teams in. And they're like,
Florida State's not getting snubbed.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Florida State's not getting snubbed.
I would not be surprised.
Nope.
It would not surprise me. I hope it doesn't happen. Bama or Texas is the 4th best team.
There's no way Florida State.
The only other difference I see is maybe they have Bama/Texas at 3 and FSU at 4, but that would be really hard. And I think that the top 6 for the committee, if they do have Michigan, Washington, FSU, Bama, it'll probably be Texas, Georgia, and they'll snub out Ohio State, which makes no sense because Georgia lost at home. Yeah, it was in Atlanta, Georgia. That's a home game. Don't care what you say. That's not neutral site.
I mean, it's neutral site. But and that was a great point that our buddy made yesterday. Is I 100% agree with you, Kelly, that Ohio State did lose to the number 1 team, but they weren't the number 1 team at the time, and that matters who is at that time. But even saying that, right, we still lost the number 2 team in the country, which is the best loss in the entire one-loss teams.
And I'm an OSU fan. I completely agree with Kelly, but my issue is I would not be surprised if 2 SEC teams somehow make it. Just because of the way the
there's
NCAA
no way 2 SEC teams are making it. No way. 2 SEC teams are making it. No way. The issue is, like, right now the commission, or whatever you want to call that group,
the selection committee, the committee.
Yeah. The issue right now is those guys have to decide. No, they have to decide if they can keep the SEC out, not keep the SEC in. Because right now, Georgia,
I think Ohio State's better than Alabama and Georgia both.
So does the.
I know we're biased because we're Ohio State.
So does the selection committee. because prior to this week, Alabama was at 8.
And they have played.
And Ohio State was at 6.
Yeah, and you got to remember, Ohio State is the best one-loss team when it comes to strength of schedule. They have the best strength of schedule out of everybody in the top 8.
And they beat Penn State when they were ranked 8.
Yes, but now they fell. So apparently
that doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter. But when you go on the other side and say, well, Alabama beat Missouri at home, and now they're ranked 9. I think they were ranked like 13th at the time. That helps them, but hurts us. That's what I'm saying. That's where it just sways away.
I just said exactly what you said. I said Ohio State beat an 8-ranked team at the time, and even if Bama beats a 13th ranked team, Ohio State still beat the better team.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying how I think the committee's going to see it.
No, the committee's going to see it as Ohio State beat Penn State, and Penn State's only loss is to Michigan and Ohio State. It's the best conference in the NCAA. Hands down.
I don't disagree, because like I just said,
and it's only going to get better next year.
Yeah,
right.
With the Pac-12 dissolving and most of the teams going in.
Right.
So this is where the NCAA and Big Ten and all these schools or all these conferences need to have a discussion. The only 2 FBS conferences that have 2 divisions are as of right now that have made playoffs recently and subsequently year after year is the SEC and the Big Ten. The Big 12, the Pac-12, the ACC are all a big conference without division. So that's what needs to happen with these teams joining from the Pac-12, Washington, Oregon, UCLA, USC. There is no need for 2 divisions anymore because then everybody's going to be in the West. And how are you going to put UCLA or USC in the East? It makes no sense. So they need to dissolve the division.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now,
and do a conference.
I'm going to tell you right now, the location does not matter. It's just a simple statement. No, but it's East to West. That's all they're doing.
No, but the Big Ten championship, if they would have done this years back, would have been Ohio State Michigan rematch instead of a Iowa versus Michigan. That Iowa didn't have more than I think 160 yards that whole game, and most of it came late in the fourth.
What I'm going to say is here's what the commission, or whatever these people should do.
The committee.
The committee. I keep saying commission. Here's what the commission should do. Here's what these people should 100% do. It is okay if Ohio State and Michigan are on the opposite side, or even on the same side. But what you need to do is we face the opposite side, right? We don't always face we don't always face the East. We
face Michigan every single year.
Right. So you can easily put Ohio State on the East and Michigan on the West. And what you do is you just have them play one game every year at the end of the year. And then the whole who won or lost, its best record should make it. The top 2 teams should make it.
It makes no sense to have 2 divisions.
Well, I mean, you can have 2 divisions just to kind of sort it out. Like, you can have that. But, there's no reason that you can't have Michigan and Ohio State play twice a year. There's no reason. And actually, let me just explain this. I don't have this tweet. But when you look at the most viewed game in the nation, it's Ohio State and Michigan with over 19 million views.
Yeah.
Okay? The second best most viewed game in the nation, I believe, was... I don't know if it was I think it was Ohio State, Penn State. Was the second, and that was over 9 million views. And then when you slide down the list, by the way, Alabama's in the top 10. They have 3 of the top 10. Michigan or Ohio State has 3 out of the top 4 when you're looking at views. So when you're looking at the way the league is structured, you have to, and this is why I think that Ohio State is a case to make it in, is because it's a moneymaker. I think Ohio State's best case to make it in at the 4th spot is because no matter who Ohio State is, they're going to get views and they're going to make a shit ton of money anytime Ohio State steps on that field. And you're going to watch an Ohio State 4 versus 1, which is Michigan versus Ohio State again. You're going to watch Michigan versus Ohio State again and score 20 million views because it's the rematch of the Lake in the same year. And every time it happens, you're going to have 20 million views. And it's going to be more because it's conference
I completely agree with that. It's a moneymaker. There's no reason for them not to do that. I think, obviously, we're biased because we're Ohio State fans.
No, financially, if you look at it.
It makes sense.
But financially, if you look at it, that makes 100% the most sense. 100%.
Which I completely agree with.
So... But moving on from there, because I'll tell you right now, like, we're going to get into a lot of college, right? It's going to come up because...
Especially with the playoffs starting.
And now that you're starting to look at these players, because we're in dynasty leagues, we're trying to look at everything going on. I mean, there's a lot of players in those games that are hugely impactful, but not the quarterback.
Yeah,
so I think that you could see a lot of good players that right now... You need to watch these tight ends. You need to watch these running backs. You need to watch these wide receivers, watch these cornerbacks, watch these defensive ends. There's a lot of studs out there that are not going to be in the title game, like a lot.
No, I mean, Jane Daniels, he as of right now, Jane Daniels is winning the Heisman because of Bo Nix he performed well against Washington. He needed a wow game. So as of right now, Jane Daniels, LSU quarterback, is going to win the Heisman.
Okay.
There's no doubt in my mind. I think
there's always doubt in my mind. Chase Young should have won the Heisman, and Joe Burrow got it.
I think Bo Nix finishes second, and Caleb Williams finishes fourth, because I think Michael Penix is up there too. And then you have the wide receiver coming out of LSU who's looked very well.
I got a guy.
You have Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State. I mean, there's a lot of guys coming out.
I got a guy I work with, and he looked right at me. He's like, "There's no way Oregon loses to Washington tonight."
Did he know it already happened once?
That was on Friday. And, well, no, he goes, "There's no way. Oregon's not the same team." I go, I mean, they're pretty much the same team.
I thought Oregon was going to win by 3.
Nothing's changed.
And Oregon was favored.
Yeah. Keep favoring the team with one loss who will lost. Can you fathom that for me?
No, I can't. Because as a betting person who is...
How do you favor a team who had just lost 5 games prior to that same team? How? How do you favor that team?
Because nobody has taken Washington seriously all year.
Keep it up.
Nobody has.
Keep it up. And I keep telling Ryan this because Ryan's not a huge...
Washington is the second best team in college football.
They've proven it game in and game out. And they're the Miami of college football right now. Right? Like, they're just scoring on everybody.
And Michael Penix, this kid has a great arm. I don't know how I didn't see him when he was playing at Indiana. You and my brother turned me on to him. He has a great arm. He's accurate. Obviously, as a called quarterbacks in college, he makes some questionable decisions, stays in the pocket a little bit too heavy. But that's here nor there.
I'd rather he take a sack over throw an interception.
He hardly underthrows a guy. He'll overthrow him, but he almost never underthrows him.
Just an FYI for all of you in chat, Wheels would 100% make this a college football podcast.
100%. Yeah, because my brother would come on every Sunday. And he would
that's funny.
Love it.
All right, let's get into these games, though. Get in these games for me.
All right, so our first game we have is the Colts at the Titans, correct? So
sure.
You have Gardner Minshew going up against Will Levis at home, D-Hop, Derrick Henry, and Nicky Aki.
Would you stop it?
Westbrook Akine. And then on the other side of the ball, you got Michael Pittman. JT is out for 2 to 3 weeks with injury, so Zach Moss is now taking the reins back from JT, which he has performed well when asked to. And you still have Alec Pierce.
And JT's out for probably minimum 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks.
Minimum.
And
so if you're in fantasy and you have Jonathan Taylor, I'm sorry for you.
This is when you come back to the, hey, what's going to happen if they lose 2 or 3 straight? Do you risk
Colts or Tennessee?
Colts. Do you risk bringing JT back? If you go 6-7, you lose your next 2 games, he's ready to come back the third week. Do you keep him out?
The way the wild card's set up right now in the East or in the AFC, I think you got to play him.
So the Colts completely can make it. So they play the Titans, which they can surely beat. You play the Bengals, the Steelers, the Falcons, the Raiders, the Texans. That hardest game on that schedule.
Well, yeah, but that's a division game. It's a division game.
So they can easily go.
Gardner Minshew could be taking this team to the playoffs, like very easily.
Or 4-2. I'm sorry.
They are the the NFC West of the AFC.
Yes.
Like you can make it in this division with a shitty record. Oh, and right now the way the wild card's shaping out, like Denver beating the Browns and then Pittsburgh losing last week, and now those teams are playing. Now Denver plays Pittsburgh this week, right?
Denver plays Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so like one of those teams has Denver plays Houston this week. I lied.
Yes. I almost made that game of the week, but I could not have the Super Bowl matchup, or not the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, the NFC Championship game not be the matchup. And then you have the Titans, who are 4-7, who aren't making
Arizona
the playoffs.
plays Pittsburgh this week. Sorry,
Arizona. So start 'em, sit 'ems. You got to start Zach Moss. You got to start Minshew. I feel like because our bye weeks this week.
Our bye weeks this week are. Oh,
you took away my dry erase.
No, you're good. What do you? I did.
I completely forgot that had our bye weeks until I saw it down here this morning.
It's gonna take a second to pop
You're
up,
fine.
but
So,
you got. I know it's Buffalo, New York,
Miami,
the Saints.
No, not Miami.
No, not the Saints. Would you pop up already? Come on.
Hold on.
Oh, it disappeared. Whatever.
Hold on.
Oh, I wonder if it's on.
Technical difficulties. Give us 2 seconds, please.
I may or may not have had reset everything today.
The teams are Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, Chicago Bears, Las Vegas Raiders, Minnesota Vikings, and New York Giants. So you are missing at least 3 quarterbacks, I would have to say, and Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Fields. Obviously, Aiden O'Connell, Joshua Dobbs, definitely I would say he's probably a quarterback that is not being played, even though he was awful last week.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right. There's your bye weeks. I apologize.
That is correct.
That is correct.
So on the Titans side of the ball, you have to start Derrick Henry. You got to start D-Hop, and that's about it. Do you start Chig? Do you?
I don't like Tennessee.
Tennessee is a team that doesn't want to be in a rebuild, but they're going to be in a rebuild. That's what it reminds me of. They don't want to say, "Hey, we're rebuilding."
I don't know if it's.
I don't know why you wouldn't trade away Derrick Henry.
I don't know if it's I don't like Tennessee just because I don't like Tennessee, or if it's because I'm exhausted with Tennessee. I'm just even if they win games, I don't feel that team is capable of competing at any level right now.
Yeah, I think they are the 4th best team in that division, which they are right now.
They went from first to worst real fast.
Yeah,
real fast.
Ryan Tannehill fell off. So now I'm gonna.
Well, Ryan Tannehill hasn't played all year.
I saw he's played 5 games.
Yeah, 5 or I think it was
but
week 6.
I'm saying from last year to this year, he fell off. He was a different. And trading A.J. Brown doesn't help either.
That's 2 years ago.
I'm gonna take the Colts. I'll take the Colts. I'm gonna take them probably to win by 10. So I'm gonna go 24-14. I don't think this game is close. I think the Titans get a late garbage time touchdown.
Wow, what a delay.
Is that how much of a delay we're on?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'm watching I don't know if you guys know there's a delay, but it's funny. We're watching the stream in 3 different ways, and then there's definitely a delay. So if you guys ever say something in chat, it might take us 30 seconds to see the chat sometimes. Here's what I'll say is Indianapolis is a top 5 scoring team in the league, and they're going against a shitty defense. Zach Moss is going to eat
all day long.
He's going to eat. And then on top of that, I think Josh Downs is going to get a lot of checkdowns, but Tennessee might frickin' randomly show up in this game defensively because it is Mike Vrabel. And Mike Vrabel has 0 issues with competing, even though if he's losing. Mike Vrabel will go out there and ruin a team's year. He has no problem.
Oh yeah, that's essentially what you are now. You're a playoff ruiner. So the line is the Titans are getting a point.
And I'm not going to say Tennessee's out, but it's a 1% chance that Tennessee even has a chance to make it.
Yeah, and the under-over is 42, so I'm taking 24-14. So I'm taking the under, 38. What say you?
Will Levis can score on this defense.
Their secondary is bad. They need to definitely draft and go into free agency and get some secondary help.
I just think the issue is right, like you said. There's just kind of just D-Hop and Derrick Henry.
Yeah, it's just because Nicky Akine.
Westbrook Akine is not bad. He's not bad, but Treylon Burks is definitely garbage.
Treylon Burks is Corey.
He's a hefty.
The kid from Baylor.
He's a hefty.
Who was the kid we drafted from Baylor?
We drafted from Baylor?
Years back. Wide receiver. Corey Coleman. That's who Treylon Burks reminds me of. He is Corey Coleman.
Corey Coleman had so much upside.
You just
You disgust me. You disgust me.
Couldn't catch a ball. Couldn't separate.
You disgust me. You insult the Browns so much. It's exhausting.
As a fan, I have to. The only thing that makes me sane.
It's exhausting. But here's what I'll say. I'll take the Colts 34-21.
Okay, so you're slamming that over.
Yeah, I'll slam the over, and it's a harder to slam. I get it because you don't think Tennessee can score. But the way the Colts have been playing, I think the Colts can almost hit the cover on their own. Even if it's 31 or 30 at all Tennessee has to do is score 14.
I think this is a game where you're going to see a little bit more Tajay Spears too, because they got to know what they have going.
They know what they have. They're trying not to injure Tajay. They know what they have.
Let's go to the next game, and obviously we're both taking the Colts.
Dude, I gotta stop yawning. Gosh, it's been a rough morning. Thanks, Kelly, for being in chat and chiming in. I know you guys didn't leave till like, I don't know, it was like 2 a.m. last night.
Our next game is the Falcons at the New Jersey Jets.
All right, Falcons, Jets. So this is a fun one. This is going to be a fun one, right?
I feel like this is going to be a at blows game. It's going to be back and forth. I think.
You know what I like about this game? This game to me tells you whether or not Atlanta's a real competitor.
Do we know who's starting for the Jets at quarterback? Is it Tim Boyle again, or is it Zach Wilson?
I had to think about that. I was like, yeah, it's Tim Boyle. It's Tim Boyle.
Okay.
They're out. Zach Wilson is in your Trey Lance.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God!
You're good.
Yawn fits right now.
Freaking yawn.
I'm sorry. Like I'm sucking up all the oxygen in the room.
You got Desmond Ridder. So let's do start of sevens. Desmond Ridder, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. Do you throw Matt Collins out there today?
Well, Matt Collins has been out there. Are you asking me, do I start Matt Collins?
Yes. Do you start with the bye weeks? Do you start Matt Collins?
Not against this defense.
Okay.
No way.
So
I would start any other wide receiver. I would start Westbrook-Ikine over Matt Collins.
I feel like this is going to be a lot of Bijan and Tyler Algier check down game.
It's just going to be.
And you're going to have to win in the trenches.
This is 100% Breece Hall and Bijan. 100%.
It's a win in the trenches type of game. Smash mouth, mud bowl football.
It's AFC North football.
Which is weird.
It's not an AFC North matchup.
But this is going to be a great game. So,
but my thing is, like, this game has a lot of determination on whether or not Atlanta is competitive.
Okay.
Because if Atlanta can't go into the Jets,
and Atlanta's favored,
they should be.
They
100% should be.
The Jets are getting 2.
If Atlanta can't go into New York or New Jersey, whatever you want to call it, if they can't go in there and win a game, like, why does Desmond Ridder, one, does not deserve to get signed next year? And by the way, I was off on Desmond Ridder. Thought he was at least going to be a manageable quarterback. Their game sets the records for blank and outs, for 3 and outs. Oh, no. Even over the New England Patriots, New York Jets last year, the game that ended in like 9-6. I don't know. I know that the Jets, I think, are setting a record this year for most points most punts in a single season.
There wasn't a single punt on Thursday Night Football. You realize that? Not a single punt happened.
I told you it was going to be high scoring. You didn't listen. You did not listen. But here's what I will say. The Jets defense is that good, right? And they know they only have to sit on Bijan. I don't like Bijan in this game, but with the bye weeks, you have to start Bijan. You have to. You can't.
And obviously, you put Sauce on London.
You can't get around starting Bijan. Breece Hall, you're going to start. I don't think there's anybody in Atlanta that can stop Breece Hall.
Garrett Wilson, you have to start with the buys.
Garrett Wilson, you got to start. Tyler Conklin, you probably have to start at this point. Xavier Gibson's a guy that you could probably flex at this point because the way that he's getting targets. If I remember correctly, his target share has been up and up.
I think so. And now you have the Jets are getting 2, and the under/over is 33.5. So they're calling for a low-scoring game.
Oh, I'll take the under. 33.5. It's crazy. I'll take the under on 33.5.
This is going to be like a 17.
I like max 15.
10 game.
Max 15-12. And I know both those numbers are weird numbers.
But field goal.
I can see a safety.
Okay.
Tim Boyle and Desmond Ridder, I could see a safety.
I'm going to take the Jets.
Yeah, so if you look at Xavier Gibson, his play time is up in the 70% now. He's only getting 2 targets, snaps. But he's getting snap percentage, correct. He's only getting 2 or 3 targets, but they don't throw the ball but like 22 times a game. So
when you have Tim Boyle and Zach Wilson in the battle line.
Well, and we all know that it's Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson and Tyler Conklin get like 90% of the targets. Yeah. Those 3 guys. So Xavier Gibson might have a decent game.
Yeah, he might get a good 2nd and 4, 12-yard catch.
It's a Brandon Cooks thing, right?
Yeah,
like
Brandon
he might be like,
I would say
not
more
last
Michael
game,
Gallup.
not last game. Brandon Cooks prior,
Brandon Cooks, yes.
yeah, like a 2-3 receptions, maybe a touchdown,
Yeah.
but I would say 2-3 receptions.
Ever since the bye, that team is blown up. But I'm gonna take the Jets. I'm gonna take the under, and obviously give me the point, or I'll take them straight.
This is a tough one for me because I really think that Atlanta's playing for a division spot here, but the Jets are playing to have Aaron Rodgers come back. But I think even if the Jets win this week, it doesn't matter because they're going to be so far behind in the wild card and so far behind Miami.
Why risk Rodgers?
That catching up is not a possibility at this point.
And regardless of if they win this week, I don't bring Rodgers back because you want him for next year.
I don't know. I mean, it depends. You go 5-7, you're 2 games out of the wild card. I think you have to bring Rodgers back in Miami, or you bring him back against Arizona, which everybody's done.
I would bring him.
They've all everybody started their injured quarterbacks against Arizona. So I mean, I don't know. But I'm gonna stick with Atlanta in this one. I'm gonna go 18 to. No, I'm gonna go 17 to.
I have 17.
17 to 12.
17 to 12.
That's 4 field goals.
4 field goals.
That's 4 field goals.
Pick up the Jets kicker. That's what that means.
That is not a safety. That is 4 field goals. Just letting y'all know that. I would not take safety, but I think there could be a safety. Desmond Ridder could 100% get a safety.
Okay. Let's move on to the next game. Is you have the Lions at the Saints. Jared Goff has struggled in the last few weeks.
No. Jared Goff, Mr. Inconsistent, Phillip Rivers 2.0.
You mean Kirk Cousins too?
No, Jared Goff's career reminds me so much of Phillip Rivers. He's on 1 year, he's off the next year. He's on 1 year, he's off the next year. And it's like he's just good enough to never make it.
He's the best of being the second best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't hate that comparison.
It exhausts me. Watching Phillip Rivers a good decade of my life, I always rooted for the guy. Find me someone who wasn't a closet Chargers fan.
Nobody. Everybody loved.
Nobody hated the Chargers.
Rivers had such swagger, though. He didn't give a shit. He would yell at the players.
But I'm just saying, nobody hated the Chargers.
No.
They're just it's Phillip, man. He's Phillip Rivers.
Justin Herbert's
dude's got 19 kids.
Same thing is happening. The problem is it the quarterback or is it the
Dan Campbell's
team?
coming into question, right? So Dan Campbell's coming into question. This is the second year in a row,
and his defense is struggling late again.
His defense been struggling all year.
Yeah,
all year. Look what the Ravens.
I said
look
against
what the Ravens
the Packers,
did to them.
they were good.
Look what the Ravens did to them, though. And granted, the Ravens are probably the best team in the country right now. But look at what the Ravens did to them. Look at what every team they've played, they've lost.
No.
They haven't lost low.
I completely agree with you because if you look at the Lions, I think they're frauds, and I like the Lions. I like Amon-Ra. I don't see them being.
I still think Minnesota wins that division.
I don't disagree with you there.
That bet's still looking good, which is freaking crazy.
I mean, Josh Dobbs obviously had a bad week, but guess what? Whoever takes care of that ball wins that division.
Here's a question for you. Hey, side bet for those in the chat: who has a better week? Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs doesn't play this week.
I know. That was the point. Damn it.
I'm sorry.
Josh Dobbs or Jared Goff?
Josh Dobbs.
It's Josh Dobbs.
The Saints are getting 4.5. The under-over is 47.5.
Guy ruins all my jokes. Thanks.
So, give me the Saints straight.
Wow.
The stardom sit-ems.
Oh, you said Saints straight. Okay.
Saints straight. No, I'm not.
No, you're not staying with the points. Wow. You're taking the Saints to win this game.
So, stardom sit-ems.
Let me get this lingo one day. I'll get it, okay? I thought when you say Saints straight, I'm like, oh, that means the Saints to cover the point. Or Saints. No, you did take the Saints to win. Well, shit.
Money line.
I don't even know anymore.
Money line. So, offensively for the Saints, obviously Michael Thomas is out. But he's a bum. Who cares? A.T. Perry's there. You got Rashid Shaheed.
You don't start a conversation like Michael Thomas is out. He's about A.D. Perry's there. The guy who's made 3 receptions all year.
It creates controversy. That's why I'm here, right? Obviously, you're gonna start.
fuck Michael Thomas. They got A.T. Perry that nobody's heard of out of like Stanford.
Is this a Taysom Hill game? Does he make an appearance like he should?
Taysom Hill, by the way, phenomenal this week. I lost Dalton Schultz. I lost Jonathan Taylor. I lost Kenneth Walker. I'm like, oh, this is a great week for me. But I do have Taysom Hill, and Taysom Hill is a stardom this week.
So he is a
stardom this week.
Taysom Hill, you start Chris Olave, you start Rashid Shaheed, you start Alvin Kamara. Do you start Derek Carr?
I think you have to start Derek Carr. I think when you look at what's going on, like you said, with bye weeks, right? When you look at all those quarterbacks,
there's a lot of. It's hard not to start some quarterbacks.
Well, and Derek Carr is one of those guys that he's the number 22 quarterback in full PPR, which that doesn't matter. She's gonna get receptions, but and that's a little skewed, right? Because Minnesota's game last week was rough. Or 2 weeks ago. They were on a bye last week.
Who got traded for a 7th round pick?
3 weeks ago.
Was it a 4th? Or, no, it was a 7th, right? Whatever.
Who?
Josh Dobbs is going to struggle.
6.
The dude's bounced around. He's on like 4 different teams this year. It's bound to happen.
I would say Derek Carr is looking to have a bounce back. He had a stretch there with 20-plus points for 5 weeks. I think Derek Carr's ceiling right now in fantasy might be 28 points max.
And I think his floor is about 18.
So depending on who you play, his floor is his worst game all this year is 4.4. But depending on who you play, like who quarterbacks you have, like I think he's a guy that I could question. Like Derek Carr,
especially if it's a dual quarterback. If you're in a
PPR,
yeah,
or a super flex, if you're in a super flex, you have to start Derek Carr. You have to. 12-team league, he's 22. A super flex, that's 24 quarterbacks, right?
Yes.
You have to start him in a super flex.
Technically, it's 36 because you're gonna have to keep an extra guy on the roster. But yeah, 24.
Well, unless you don't start 2 quarterbacks 1 week.
Yeah. Which hardly ever happens. And then on the lines, you start Goff. I think you start both Gibbs, Montgomery. You start Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I don't like Laporta in this game.
I don't like Laporta. I don't like Jameson Williams. We both said that Jameson Williams was going to struggle. He's not a wide receiver one. Like people had called him out saying, oh, Amon-Ra is going to lose his touches. Amon-Ra hasn't slowed down all year.
Kelly, I have no comment on this.
Why?
She knows why. I have no comment on this, Kelly. I've talked about this wonderful player for like 5 hours last night. No comment on this.
All right, so give me the Saints. I'm gonna take the Saints to win 28-24.
Saints 28. I don't know if the Saints can score 28. I'll give you, what's the over-under? Because I'll probably take the under.
The over-under is 47.5.
I'm slamming the under.
So am I.
I'm slamming the under against this defense.
Sorry.
I'm gonna go Detroit. They need to win this week. I'm gonna go Detroit 24-18. That's 42. So I'm slamming the under on that one. I think Detroit. I get that they're favored going into New Orleans, but
it's hard.
I don't know if Detroit can continuously
which
lose
team do you
and
take seriously?
Dan Campbell not be looked at
for questioning of the defense
for his coaching, because he's brought in there as a defensive coach.
If you can't win your side of the ball, there's a problem.
Yeah, and I think they need a guy like Michael Thomas on that team to slow up, because all Detroit has to do, and this is where they're weak, right? Because Green Bay showed this. If Derek Carr just goes over top to Shaheed and Olave, there's no way Detroit wins.
That's going to be a long
There's no way Detroit wins this game. If they throw over top, there's no way Detroit wins this game. And to be honest, Green Bay exposed their weakness very heavily.
Their linebackers and their
safety, which is Brian Branch.
Garbage.
No, Brian Branch is garbage. He's played very well this year. The problem is their coverage schemes are horrible right now.
Well, they play more of a
man.
They play more of a man, but the problem is the corners that they have aren't fast enough to stay consistent in man. So then you're relying on the safety, which then gets this to we'll say the second. Obviously, it's the second level of the secondary, which is where you're dependent on those safeties.
Yeah, I mean, and Brian Branch is more of a box safety.
Yeah, he's not a
He's not John
a
Johnson.
ball hawk.
I don't think he's a
type
John
of
Johnson.
Minka
Well,
type of guy.
maybe he is a John Johnson. He's not like a. Yeah,
Minka.
Yeah. Even though I think his comp was Minka.
Yeah.
I think. Lions over 34-24. Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to hit the over the way the Lions have been playing.
That's not. Hey, Bo. It's not. I mean,
Morning, Bo.
It's gonna be a good. It's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, I definitely like this game because the Saints are playing for their division. Atlanta's playing for their division this week. So like that division is. That division's a toss-up right now.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is the third place team, I think, in that division. They're 4-5. So, like, it's another...
I think one game separates all three of them.
Yeah, so it's... I mean, I think I look for the Saints to play hard, and I think I look for Atlanta to play very hard. I think those are both watchable games this week.
And now so you're taking the Lions, I'm taking the Saints. Now we move on to the next game. You have the Broncos at the Houston Texans. Now, this is going to be a great game, I feel like, because of the way that both these teams have, played in recent weeks. The Broncos have won, I believe, 5 straight. The Texans are in control of their own destiny.
It's a wild card match. It's a wild card match.
Win a wild card. This is going to be exactly what you said, a wild card rematch come playoff time.
This might sound crazy. This game here might have weight on the wild card in 5 weeks because these two teams who have both caught stride around the same time. I mean, they've beaten teams currently in the wild card that if they tie with those teams, they're in just because they have the wins over them.
Yeah, and the Broncos are getting 3. So that means
Broncos are...
It's a home field advantage, so it's essentially a pick 'em if you look at it that way.
Pick 'em, 0-0.
Because the Houston's at
0-0. Yep.
And the over
you guys have taught me so
47.5.
I'll hit the over.
I'm going to hit the over, too. I think the issue I have is Cortland Sutton is going to... He's only had, I think, 2 games this whole year without a touchdown. I think this is the start of his another touchdown spree. And the issue with the secondary of the Texans is, even though if you look at the Broncos and what weapons they have, they are a very good passing team, and Russell Wilson has played well all year. We've called it. Yeah. We've been on the Russell Wilson train. He has not been spectacular, like, oh, wow, he's top 5, but he has been very good.
3 games this year.
Yeah. He's got 6 touchdowns?
No, he's got 9, 2, 4, 6, 8. He's got 8 touchdowns.
I think he has a huge game. I think he has like a 90 or 100-yard game, touchdown, and 8 receptions.
I love this stat just because like everybody was out there, and I get Jerry Jeudy's younger. Everybody was out there. It's like Jerry Jeudy's the number 1 on that team. I don't care what you say. Jerry Jeudy's number 1.
Sutton was the number 1.
I've constantly said Cortland Sutton's the number 1. Jerry Jeudy has 1 touchdown the whole entire year.
Jerry Jeudy has a... Broncos are hot right now. We got 28. I can't see 28, 27. Does that say? I'm taking
the Broncos are on a 5-game tear, right?
5-game tear.
So they went 1-5, and now they're 6-5. So they're on a 5-game tear. I agree they're hot.
Let me go through the teams they've beaten real quick.
Well, they beat the Browns.
They beat the Browns.
I mean, they beat the Chiefs. They've beat.
All right, so you beat the Browns, you beat the Vikings,
you beat Buffalo,
the Bills, you beat the Chiefs,
you beat Minnesota.
Packers.
Oh, they lost to Buffalo.
No, they beat Buffalo.
Okay, so yeah, they've beat 3 of the top 10 teams. They've only beat above 500 teams, right? They're the opposite of Dallas.
They're the opposite of Miami.
Yeah, they've only beat above 500 teams. So it's hard to not take Denver here. But again,
the Broncos are making the playoffs. Regardless of how this game ends, they're making the playoffs.
The Broncos with Sean Payton is showing up, and this is phenomenal to see. But caveat. They are going to get penalized like a mother effer in this game. The entire league is looking at these hits that Denver's been having, and they are staring at them. They're not even just a DTR. It was the game prior to the Browns. I know that the Amari Cooper and the DTR was obvious. Like, a lot of people were staring at those. But if you look at the prior to that, like the hits out of bounds, and you look at some of the tackles, I think they are looking at Denver, and they are going to get penalized.
So is Bounty Gate back on?
I wouldn't say that. I think there might be some legal ramifications if I say that Sean Payton started Bountygate 2.0.
From the way they're playing, I wouldn't be surprised. I know a lot of people say, well, that's football, but some of these hits
is football.
They're questionable.
Here's the thing. It is football. And the only issue about Bountygate is that he was paying guys to injure guys. I don't care if you go out there and say, take that dude's knee out. I can't pay you to say that. I can't pay you to go, hey, if you take that guy's knee out, I have an offering in my office later. Yeah,
for you, buddy.
I know a few massage people. Like
we'll call Deshaun Watson.
You can't incentivize the injuring of players. Essentially,
the Broncos. I mean, like I said,
this is a tough game because I've been on the Houston train. I've been on the Houston train, and C.J. Stroud is probably one of the best educated quarterbacks in the league, and he doesn't make the same mistake twice usually.
So, I know this is a stupid statement, but whoever wins this game's making the playoffs without a doubt, right?
Whoever wins the game's... No, it's not without a doubt. It's not without a doubt because you still have the Steelers who have a very easy end of season schedule at home. You have the Browns. You have Buffalo could always pop off at any moment. I get it, but they're still competitive, and they have been for the last 3-4 years.
I don't know if Buffalo wins 3 more games.
Buffalo could pop off at any moment. I'm trying to think of the other teams.
Buffalo will finish 8-9.
The Raiders are sitting right there with them, and Denver and the Raiders are in the same division, so they have to fight each other to get in.
The Broncos have you go Texans.
We just said the Colts are still competing.
Yep.
So I think it's tough. I think it's tough to say that. Kelly, we agree with you in this statement. We do believe Buffalo might miss the playoffs this year. I think that's something that very well could happen.
I called it when we were doing our standings. I said they weren't going to make the playoffs.
Oh, I don't know if I have those. I thought about
the Broncos have a tough road schedule. They go Houston, Chargers, Detroit, and then back home against the Patriots. They have 3 straight games on the road.
Yeah, so this is the thing. Like
you have to almost win tonight. You got to win today.
They play crappy teams on the road, but it's still on the road. Like that's the tough part. You're on the road.
I don't want to call the Chargers crappy. Brandon Staley should not have a job. He should have been fired last year.
I mean, if they lose today, he's crappy. They play the Patriots today.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I'm Siddums real quick.
Well, we just said you got to start Cortland, right? Like you have to start Cortland.
I feel like you're starting everybody besides Jerry Jeudy.
Okay, so Dalton Schultz is I think out.
Yeah.
So Dalton Schultz is out. Who's their backup tight end?
Brevin Jordan.
Okay, so I don't know if you start Brevin Jordan.
I would not.
Is Noah Brown back? I think Noah Brown's back.
He had the big game a few weeks back, and then he has missed, I think, 2 straight games.
Yeah,
but you have on the other side, you got Nico Collins still. You got Tank Dell, and you have Robert Woods, who is your veteran leader, who I did say would fall off about halfway through the year, and he did because Tank Dell, who our very own Ryan said would take off.
So Noah Brown is expected to play in Week 13.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a heavy wide receiver game. Brevin Jordan's going to be used more into the blocking, I feel like, and I think Devin Singletary's taking over as RB1 for that team. What do you think? I don't know. Really?
Oh, running back one.
Yeah,
I thought it was a wide receiver in my head for some reason.
Devin Singletary, who I think has taken over for running back. Over.
So I think you can 100% start C.J. Stroud, Noah Brown, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell, especially with the bye weeks this week. I think you can 100% because you don't have Justin Jefferson, you don't have Jordan Addison, and you don't have KJ Osborne. Those or Brandon Powell or Bernard Powell or whatever his name is.
Brandon Powell.
That's 4 players that were almost startable. Yeah. You don't have any of those guys.
Yeah.
So Devin and you don't have Stephon Diggs this week, right? Like no Stephon Diggs because Buffalo's on a bye.
No.
The Giants, I don't think you ever had a receiver on the Giants starting.
In the last 3 games.
So I think you can definitely start all of Houston's wide receivers. I think you can start both of the Denver wide receivers, especially because of the bye weeks. Both quarterbacks, I think, at this point are startable. Both quarterbacks. Defenses. Do you start either of these defenses? Because both these defenses are highly touted right now.
This is going to be an air attack game on both sides.
You know what's funny? Do you remember the Arizona score?
I do not.
So I think Arizona score, I think it was Arizona lost that game. It was 24-17. I see this game the exact same way. I just don't know who to pick.
So
I don't know if I go and pick Houston or
I'm
because
taking
of the
the
home field
Broncos.
advantage.
I'm taking the Broncos.
I'll take Houston this week then. I'll take Houston 24-17, which I think slams the under. And Bo was right there with me. Bo said 28-17, but he said Broncos. So, I mean, I kind of, like, again, I love it.
Taking the Broncos 28-21.
I love it because I think
Wait,
the Broncos are on a tear. I just think it's so hard to win
You're
back
taking
to back to
Houston?
back to back to back to back weeks.
You're taking Houston?
Yeah, I'll take Houston.
What's the line? Or what's your points?
It's 24-17 Houston.
Okay.
So it'll be fun to watch because I think it's going to be a good game. There's a lot of good games this week that are hard to pick.
Yeah, this is a big bye week game too. And hold on.
I'm going to go Arizona-Pittsburgh. What do you got?
I'm trying to go in order of the way I have it over here.
Which is not in order the way I have it.
I know, I'm sorry.
But it's all right. I'm waiting on you. I'll let you run the show today, man.
You have the Chargers at the Patriots. Now, this could be a trap game. There was always one
For Bill
every
Belichick?
week. No, for the Chargers.
But for the 4-7 Chargers?
You got to remember.
I said that as it popped up. That's funny.
They're starting either Malik Cunningham or Bailey Zappi. Mac Jones is done in New England.
No, they're starting Bailey Zapp.
Okay.
Malik Cunningham probably will make appearances, but they're starting Bailey Zapp. So a lot of things about the Patriots that I've seen lately is that they don't want Malik to come on that field
And I don't know
and
why.
start tearing off because you lose your draft picks.
Okay.
So a lot of people think that Malik is the starter
Malik played at Louisville.
and that they should have seen him year like 2 or week 2 or 3 when Mac started not
When
doing.
he got signed to the practice squad and everybody freaked out.
Yep.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That's
So
what happens with practice squad players. You sign them.
a lot of people like this kid, man. A lot of people like Malik Cunningham.
I mean, obviously, start him sentence. Let's just go through them real quick. Screw it. You got Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston. I don't start Quentin Johnston
I think you have to.
with the bias. I guess he's had, I think, 1 touchdown all year.
I don't care. I think you have to. When you look at these bye weeks,
Eckler, Gerald Everett. He missed, I think, 2 weeks, so I believe he's back.
you got Devontae Adams out, Stephon Diggs is out, DJ Moore is out, Zay Flowers is out, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison,
TJ Hawkinson.
I think you have to.
Okay.
I think you have to.
Okay.
And
then
especially in like deep leagues, like 12-team and 14-team leagues, I think you have to.
Okay. And then on the other side of the ball, you have the Patriots. Bailey Zappi, sit. Do you start Mike Gesicki? Obviously, you're starting Ramondre.
Well, you're
Demario Douglas.
Mario Douglas you're starting, right? Because
Yes.
he's getting 11 targets.
Juju has been a shell of what he once was in Pittsburgh and flashes in KC.
I was watching the McAfee show, and they said this was such a great interview when they were talking. They said that the Patriots broke Juju. They go, I don't think Juju even does TikTok anymore. They broke Juju. He had an interview.
That's why he's not playing.
He had an interview
on his phone.
Juju had an interview asked about Bailey Zapp's ability, and he goes, well, Bailey Zapp is a handsome man, and he could not compliment his play level at all. Now Bailey Zapp was standing right behind him, so maybe it was a joke, but dude, it looked cringe.
It's a Bill Belichick locker room, baby.
He broke Juju. He broke Cam. He's broken everybody.
Well, Bill's gone after this year. They're
Nah, that's not the rumors, man. The rumors is he signed a backdoor deal already. He's extended for another 4 years.
No, good. That's good for that division.
I mean, that's what the rumor is. I don't know what to tell you.
The Patriots are getting 5. They're at home.
And my dad
the under over is 39.5.
So my dad made a great point too. He said that Bill Belichick will not retire until he beats whatchamacallit's win record in a New England Patriots jersey or shirt, whatever.
Wait, what?
So I can't remember who the most winningest coach of all time is. Is Shula?
Don Shula. I believe it is Don Shula.
Okay, and Bill Belichick's number 2. So my dad made a point is that he's not going to leave the Patriots until he beats that record, Shula's record, on the Patriots field. You got to keep that in mind. Why do you go to Bet365 to try to figure out that question?
No, I'm not.
Oh, I thought you were.
I'm pulling everything back up.
Oh, I thought you were trying to figure out who. I think it's Don Shula.
I think it's Don Shula.
It's like most winningest coach of all time. Let me check.
Most winning head coach NFL. It is Don Shula. 328 wins. Bill Belichick holds the record for postseason at 31. Bill Belichick is also the active leader at regular season wins with 300. So he is.
So 4 more year extension. That's only like.
I don't know if they win 28 games in 4 years.
Thanks, Kelly, for the 328. You don't know Bill Belichick can win 30 games in 4 years?
No.
He won 10 games with Mac Jones.
That team is bad. They have no offensive
It's the offensive line. It's the O-line, remember? Like, we were talking about this. They're starting all backup O-linemen.
Well, I can't say that you have no offensive weapons. This team fell off.
They have no offensive weapons.
When Kendrick Bourne went down with the ACL tear.
Kendrick Bourne, yeah, correct. But Kendrick Bourne was on a 1-year deal. That dude's a free agent next year.
Come to Cleveland.
I love it. I've been thinking about it all offseason. Like, to me, Kendrick Bourne is the best free agent at his age.
Yeah, I guess that is true. It's 7 Bo Nix.
Yeah, I agree, Kelly. Yeah, 7 per year, so 30 wins. He can easily, well, technically to beat it, he would have to win 8 one of those years.
I think Bo Nix.
I don't know. Like that's why
I feel like he would fit. I feel like he would fit Bill's system.
I don't know if Bill has a system. Bill's very good at adapting.
Bill
to
likes white quarterbacks. I hate to say it.
No, Bill likes pocket passers that can check down the ball.
So white quarterback.
Which is why he liked Mac Jones originally, because Mac Jones used to make the smartest decision. That's gone. Mac Jones no longer makes smart decisions.
Well, I guess you can say he broke both Juju and Mac Jones.
He definitely broke Mac Jones. Mac Jones actually was one of the safest quarterbacks and most consistent quarterbacks coming into the NFL, and he played phenomenal his first year. They made the playoffs, I think, his first year.
Yeah, they got blown out by the Bills.
Yeah, they made the playoffs the first year, and then all of a sudden,
downhill.
Mac Jones,
I don't think it's Mac Jones. I think it's
Mac Jones. You can't turn over the ball 4 times in like the fourth quarter. Like you can't. Like Mac Jones is that bad at this point. Mac. And I get it. Like you can like him all you want, but as a quarterback, he's not a top 32.
Oh no, he's not a starting quarterback.
Correct.
I
like how you understood what I said. He's not a top 32.
No, I completely agree. He is not a starting quarterback in this league.
Right.
He's going to be relegated to a Gardner Minshew-esque career for the rest of his life. I like Gardner Minshew.
I would argue Gardner is better than him.
Oh, yeah.
I would argue Gardner is better.
I like Mac Jones. The kid has heart. You can see it in his post-game interviews.
Funny?
He hates being benched. He's trying.
The last decade of quarterbacks, the worst quarterback we would talk about who got to see the field.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Day in and day out. How did you know that? Like, that's exactly what I was going to say. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Gardner Minshew and Josh Dobbs are now Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No. Josh Dobbs is nowhere near that level, nor is he going to get those opportunities to start. It's just this year because of the injuries.
He started for 2 different teams this year.
Yeah, and he could have started for 3 if Cleveland wouldn't have gotten rid of him in the offseason. All right, what game? Chargers, we were still in? Okay, I take the Chargers to win this game.
The Chargers
I'm not going to say it's a bounce-back game, but I think the Chargers' offense should be more productive this week.
Yeah,
I'm going to go 24... I'm going to go 24-17. I think that hits the under still. Because I'll tell you right now, this game is a garbage game, to be honest.
Yeah, the under over.
Oh my God, it goes
39 and a half.
It goes over. I hit 42, 41.
So I'm going to go 28-17.
New England?
No, Chargers.
Well, you said it was a trap game. Coward.
I said, is this a trap game? What was your score again?
24-17.
Okay. So
talking trap game, and Chargers are favored by 5.5. So I took them to cover, and you took them to cover, right? Yeah, you said 28. Yep. So we both took the Chargers to cover.
They're covered at 5 right now. I bet 365. You can get that half point.
I'm just on covers.
Okay. Next game is the Cardinals at the Steelers. Now this is going to be another very interesting game that I think will be close until the end.
Arizona has kept every game within a score.
I think Arizona's going to take this game. I think they're going to go up by 10 late and win.
I'm not even going to talk about the Browns game. I'm just hoping to God Arizona wins this game.
They have to.
For us.
We are all Arizona fans this week.
Right. Well, I am an Arizona fan. I lived out there. But
I never knew that.
It's my NFC team.
Okay.
Arizona's my NFC team. It struggles because I do not like Kyler, but Arizona's my NFC team. You start Kyler.
Kyler hasn't been bad.
I just don't like him.
I don't disagree.
I'll tell you this to the day I die. Not scrambling.
Relying on running.
Relying on a quarterback to run the ball has never won a championship.
What has the Ravens done this year? Lamar Jackson has run the least amount he's ever had in college and the NFL.
And Patrick Mahomes, when he wins Super Bowls, he throws for 5,200 yards in a single season. So I think the best quarterbacks that win chips. Not that I don't
like running quarterbacks. It's like I like running quarterbacks that don't rely on running.
It's not productive in the playoffs.
No, because you're also putting yourself in harm's way. Look at Josh Allen has been running around for the last few weeks.
I told Brandon this, right? I said every time Josh Allen runs, they lose.
Yeah, and you know what? Keep running Josh Allen, Sean McCoy, because you're gonna have a short career.
Arizona, Kyler Murray is a definite stardom.
Kyler Murray is a stardom. Do you start Kenny Pickett?
Mike Wilson is out. Can we stay on Arizona? You just go to the best player on each team, and that's it.
You win quarterback, so I win quarterback. I try to go back and forth. You have Greg Dortch.
I guess if you're going quarterback to quarterback, with the bye weeks, you were starting Dobbs. I think this is a week where Pickett can have 20 to 24.
Okay.
So I think there's potential here, especially with the way the checkdowns happen to Jalen Reed or Jaden.
Jaden Reed. Jaden Warren.
Jalen Warren. Jaden Reed.
Jaden Reed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Jalen Warren. I think the way the checkdowns happen to Jalen Warren, and they've been utilizing Najee still in the run game. I actually believe that Kenny Pickett could have a good game. And he's been more productive since they got rid of Canada.
That's one game. We'll see.
Yeah, but you know who else
they broke 400 yards for the first time in 2 years.
You know who else was productive for one game? James Cook. You know who they got rid of? Their offensive coordinator.
They need to get rid of that head coach.
But I'm just saying. I'm so mad. These guys that weren't utilizing the studs on the team that the world can see. Oh, you mean
run the fucking ball? It's not that hard.
That the world can see. The world can see it, right? We can see it, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna save Jalen Warren just for a little longer. I don't want to run him. It's like, bro, Najee's putting up 3 yards a carry. You need to put in Jalen Warren, who's averaging 8 yards a carry. What are you doing? Your team has underproduced yardage wise against every team you've beat. That is the best record in the NFL for the worst team. That is the most absurd stat I've ever heard. Is every game you won, you've been outproduced on the field by.
The Cardinals. On the other hand,
sorry,
you have Marquise Brown, you have Greg Dortch,
and I argued for Canada this year. Remember?
Yeah,
I was like, maybe it's not Canada, maybe it's Pickett. I'm like, no, it's Canada. It was Canada. It was obvious. It was Canada.
You say agree?
Excuse me?
I mean, it was obvious.
You have Trey McBride, who now is the full starter with Zach Ertz.
Yeah, Trey McBride is
Zach Ertz. Off the team.
Trey McBride was last year's highest touted tight end who never touched the field.
Because Zach
Ertz. And Trey McBride, stud. Trey McBride is a stud.
And then you have Pat Freiermuth on their side, who had his biggest career game of his NFL career last week.
And Pat Freiermuth
I think it's going to continue.
He's going to look like Heath Miller in this offense with a new offensive coordinator.
Safety valve, safety valve, safety valve.
Yep.
We always preach tight ends are safety valves because guess what? It's a lot easier to hit a bigger target that's a little bit slower than a fast target that's a little bit smaller.
Freiermuth's not slow. Freiermuth is like...
No, I'm saying versus Pickens and Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Deontay Johnson.
I loved Freiermuth's upside when he came in this league. I think he was the most underrated underrated tight end. I thought he was the most underrated tight end in that draft. Kyle Pitts was super overrated for me. And Freiermuth was the best tight end coming out of that draft.
Let me ask you this about just the last thing about Canada. Do you think that Mike Tomlin fired him or the ownership came in and said, he's gone, get it done? Because it made it seem like that Mike Tomlin fired him and went over.
I think ownership went to Tomlin and said, hey,
get your head out of your ass and fire the guy.
If you don't make adjustments to the offense who I have paid for, they just paid for Deontay Johnson, remember?
I know, but I don't think you can get rid of Mike Tomlin.
Well, no. The Rooney rule will not let the Rooneys get rid of Mike Tomlin. It's called the Rooney Rule. It's their fault. They put themselves in that predicament.
Correct.
That's why they hired Brian Flores. They put themselves in that predicament.
You're not wrong. So let's go.
That's on them.
I'm gonna take.
I'm taking Arizona because I'm biased. I'm taking Arizona because I'm biased. And here's the score. It's going to be ridiculous. 17-14. I took the under on a 41-point game.
24-10 Arizona. I said, oh no, sorry, 24-14. I said 10-point game.
Yeah. And by the way, if I were you,
I'm taking the
Steelers are favored by a touchdown. So.
And the Cardinals are getting 6.5.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm sorry. Duh. That's just that game just really took a lot out of me. I'm not gonna lie.
This is the Green Bay game. Remember, this was the Green Bay trap game when they were supposed to go in, and everybody's like, "I can't believe we shouldn't be favored in this game. We shouldn't be favored in this game to Green Bay," and then they ended up winning the game. The Steelers are favored to Arizona. I think that is very, very awkward.
Yes. And now this is the last 1:00 game of today. You have the Dolphins at the Washington Commanders.
Who are we missing in Arizona, by the way, for a wide receiver? You got Marquise Brown, who's a stardom. You said Trey McBride.
Or Mike Wilson.
Mike Wilson's out.
Marquise Brown. I said Marquise Brown.
Rondale Moore is also.
Oh, my God.
We missed Rondale Moore last week.
Oh, you're not wrong. But
we missed Rondale Moore last week.
Greg Dortch has been the wide receiver, too, with the injury to...
Greg Dortch has been wide receiver 3, yes.
Oh, sorry.
With Mike Wilson out. With Mike Wilson out.
Rondale Moore is...
Yeah, so I want to say Rondale Moore has that potential to be a stardom this week. I didn't want to forget him because I know we forgot him last week. Greg Dortch, actually, I loved Greg Dortch with Kyler last year. This year it looks a little different, but he did look good last week with Kyler, so we'll see.
I
apologize about that. I just wanted to make sure we talked about those.
I feel bad.
Players.
I completely forgot about Rondale Moore. Now you have the Dolphins at the Commanders. This game.
Is this a Philly game?
The Commanders are getting 9, but you got to remember that what is the worst part of that Dolphins team?
Defense
and the secondary, correct?
Half of the secondary.
Safeties or corners?
Corners. Well, that's why I said half.
So I'm going to go off the wall. And I'm taking Washington.
Is this Sam Howell's bounce back game?
This is a Sam Howell 300-yard, 3 touchdown, 1 interception game.
You know what's funny is I want to say that so bad, but every time I put my faith in Sam Howell, he learns to hurt me a little bit.
Like Baker did.
Yep.
Does it feel the same?
It is the same, and they're in the same colored jerseys.
They're getting 9. The under/over is 49.5. So they're calling for a higher scoring game, obviously.
Both these defenses are trash right now. They got rid of Montez Sweat and they got rid of Chase Young.
The only good defensive piece right now for Washington
Antoine Winfield.
No. That's
damn it, that's Tampa Bay.
Is Curl.
Curl? Who the hell is Curl?
The safety for Washington.
Oh, I'm gonna do more research.
Kareem Curl, I think his name is.
I'm surprised you know a player over me. I'm not even gonna check it. I'm gonna trust him because if he knows a guy's name's Curl, I am completely in on that. I'm okay with that.
I think it's Kareem Curl.
Stardoms this week.
Stardoms, you're starting Scary Terry.
I thought you were gonna start. See, you confused me. Go to the quarterbacks.
I'm sorry, quarterback. You got to start both of them. It doesn't matter. You're starting both these guys. Sam Howell, the dude leads the league in passing yards.
Sam Howell, a 4-8. It's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. Nobody thought when you saw Sam Howell come in game 18 last year and get blown out and throw 3 interceptions in game 18 last year at Washington. You remember when they brought him in?
Wait, what? I'm sorry.
Remember last year when they brought Sam Howell in and he threw 3 interceptions in game 18 last year?
Yeah.
Nobody thought this dude was going to be leading the league in passing yards.
I said he was a bum last year. No, we didn't say bum because we said we didn't have enough. We only had 1 game to judge
I said I didn't have enough, but I said I didn't like him coming into the draft.
No, I didn't like him either.
The guy actually who I really enjoyed is a back. Has not even played a game. That was the dude I think in on the Jets. On the Jets? I don't remember now. I'll go back to it later. But there's definitely a quarterback that has not seen the field, which is kind of reminds me of the
Yeah, Cameron Curl has been good. 41 targets, 28 receptions allowed, 70 solo tackles. He's third in the league with solo tackles. He's young too.
Okay, so he's like a John Johnson.
But better.
Not a ball hawk, just a tackler.
So Antoine Winfield.
Grant Delpit, right?
Yeah.
He's always where the ball's at.
I would love to have him on our team.
He's just not a ball hawk.
No, he's a cover safety. He can tackle.
So
exactly.
Here's my issue, right? You still have Jalen Ramsey. So like Jalen Ramsey, since he's been back.
But you have Jahan Doxson. You have Curtis Samuel.
Right, which is why I don't like Scary Terry. Right?
Okay. I just feel like we said with the buys, you kind of got to start Scary Terry.
Yep, 100%. I don't think you can't.
I don't think he gets more than 12.
But I keep in mind, I like Jahan Dotson and I like Curtis Samuel.
I do too.
Because they got to find a way to move the ball.
Logan Thomas. I think Logan Thomas has another good game. And this is a game.
He could.
If you look, this is a game, like I said a few weeks back, you got to involve Antonio Gibson in the passing game. Brian Robinson can be your downhill runner, but Antonio Gibson is going to be checked down, RPOs. You got to involve him in the passing game somehow, in the trenches, short yardage plays. Because with those wide receivers, you're going to open up the middle of the field, and Antonio Gibson can go over and get you some chunk yardage in spots where, it helps you drive. Obviously, Brian Robinson he's going to be the main running back. I don't see Antonio Gibson running it more than maybe 6 times today, but he's going to touch the ball about 15.
So Logan Thomas will probably get like maybe 6 targets, and maybe 4 or 5 receptions.
Yeah, he's good. He's good for like 9 to 10 points a week. Right?
If that's what your standards, I'm okay with that. If that's what you want,
with the guys that are out, he's a good flex option. I have to say. I mean, I don't hate it.
No, that's why I'm asking. I'm asking. Yeah. So I guess if you're looking at 8 to 9 points for Logan Thomas, if that's what you need, I think you can start him. I think you can. But we were talking about somebody else, and I was doing research. Antonio Gibson. I really like Antonio Gibson. I think Brian Robinson has been a stud in this backfield, and I don't think Antonio Gibson gets enough play time. But I still think Antonio Gibson can give you 8 to 9 points. I don't know if he's going to. I don't know if he's going to give you 14 to 16.
I said he's going to touch the ball 15 times altogether.
Maybe
receptions and touches.
Maybe.
I think he gets about 14 or 15 tonight or today. No, it is tonight. This is our first 4:00 game, 4:25.
And Antonio Gibson hasn't touched the ball over 10 times in like all year.
But you got to remember who this team is. They're going up against.
I understand that, but Brian Robinson plays in the pass, and he plays in the run. So I think max, if he scores a touchdown, you get 12 to 16. There's no way that Antonio did, and I'm starting him this week. Like I have to. I lost two running backs. I'm just saying, I don't think that Antonio Gibson is going to get what you say he's going to get. He's even projected 7.87.
He had 10 touches last week. 10 the before.
He hasn't had more than 10 all year.
Yeah, he's got about 10.
Oh, he had 11 in week against New England, and he had 12 against Philly. Those are his 2 highest scoring weeks at those times. So like he's a 10 touch guy. Like so, I would say he's going to get 10 opportunities. And he has to make the most of those 10 opportunities.
Well, yeah. So what is I'm going to take Washington to win 21-17.
I'm going to take Miami to cover.
They're taking Miami.
I take Miami, and it sounds crazy, but Miami's going to win this game. It's going to be 42-34.
Oh, I guess I did say 3 touchdown game, right?
I have no idea. I just know I just took Denver.
21.
I took the Denver 2.0 game.
Okay.
That's essentially what I did. I think Washington really, really destroyed themselves by getting rid of the pieces that they need, and they can't get at the They can't get at the quarterback, and now that you can't get at the quarterback, Tua can sit there all day.
This was the last 1 o'clock game.
Tua can sit there all day and just throw it. Tyreek Hill and is Jalen Waddle still healthy, right?
Yes.
And to be honest, Achan's back. Achan's back. So,
how healthy is he?
They said they said him last week, right? And they're starting him this week.
I don't know. Achan's going to be good. I don't know if he has more than 10 points.
Is he startable?
You have to with the, like we said, with the guys that are out with the flex.
Okay.
10 points is make it or break it.
Yeah, and I think they're going to run Mostert and Achane, and I think the Commanders aren't going to be able to stop that. Actually, I'm kind of wondering where the Commanders are in run defense. Rushing per player game.
Rushing per game.
All right, rushing per game.
Let me guess. I'm gonna guess they're allowing 132 rushing yards.
No, they're middle of the pack, 113.
Okay.
They're not Denver or the Jets.
There's that.
Or Cincy. Oh my God, Cincy's that bad.
Cincy's defense got awful. Their run defense at least.
Wow.
Well, they're actually their pass. They're just bad. Cincy's bad.
That's bad defense. I mean, their pass defense is almost equivalent. No, they're bad. They're bad.
They're like
Dude,
30th.
you run against Cincy, 5 yards a carry. That's ridiculous. Why would you even throw the ball against that team? That's how they win games. All right. So next. This
is our first 4:00 game. Panthers at the Buccaneers. So you have the Panthers who have fired Frank Reich going into Tampa with a team that is trying to clinch on to a playoff appearance, possibly with Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Cade Otton, and running back.
Which team?
Tampa. I can never remember his name. Oh my God.
Rashad White.
Yeah, I want to call him Rashad White. Yeah. Rashad White. Let's do start and subs real quick. Obviously, you're starting
White.
both.
Rashad White.
No, you're starting both quarterbacks. Fuck you.
You're not starting Bryce Young.
You have to.
No, you don't.
I think Bryce Young has a better game than Kenny.
Deal. Kenny Pickett's going to have a better game than Bryce Young. Okay. Did you see the news that came out about Bryce Young? Not like injury-wise.
They didn't want him?
Well, no, that the team after week 2 when they saw Bryce Young.
They wanted to start Andy Dalton.
They wanted to start Andy Dalton.
Have to. The dude was the first overall pick. You can't sit
I
him.
think you need to develop him. I agree. I agree with their decision to continue to play him.
This is my issue with Dan. Whatever, David Tepper. This is my issue with David Tepper. David Tepper always doesn't want to take responsibility. He always throws to other people, and that is a bad sign from the top down.
Yeah,
that just shows how dysfunctional this whole organization is.
You have been on the organization already.
And I feel bad for Bryce Young because I feel like on any other team he would be competitive by now.
You have been on that David Tepper argument. It's funny.
David Tepper is taking over for what Dan Snyder is. He is a new.
It was funny. I was talking to Ryan.
Garbage owner of the league.
I was talking to Ryan the other day. He's like, I could not stay with that conversation. You guys went from here to here to here. I said, well, here's the problem. I go, Wheels brought up micromanaging, and then I said Jerry Jones, and then we went from Jerry Jones, and we talked about like Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, and then we went from there, and then we ended up talking about our receivers, and we talked about CD. He goes, how did you even get there? I was like, well, you had to be in the conversation. Like you gotta follow it. He's like, I don't know how you got any of that out of that. Like I'm like, dude, it was a fun conversation I had. I enjoyed the conversation. If you guys aren't keeping up with the conversation in the chat, you just gotta let us know.
Yeah,
you just gotta let us know. We'll bounce back. But I understand what you're saying, but this is why Thielen, start him, right?
You got to start Thielen. He's been the bread and butter of that passing game.
Can DJ Chark have a decent game?
Yeah. I think Chuba Hubbard you're going to start too.
Well, yeah, I think you kind of have to because he's kind of taking that backfield over.
Miles Sanders is taking a backseat to Chuba Hubbard.
Which is weird, right?
Because they're paying Miles Sanders.
So you think it's a next year's argument, right?
Yeah, I don't be surprised if they trade or release him.
I mean...
But he's making good money, so they might not.
He's making okay money. It's like 3 years for like...
I think $6 million a year.
Yeah,
maybe
something like that. Yeah,
no, it's mid-level running back money.
Yeah, like he's making good money. He's a young running back,
but so not to bash on the organization anymore. But I'm gonna tell Panthers fans right now, the issue isn't your quarterback. I know you're looking at CJ Stroud and saying, "Oh, what if?" But the issue is the issue exactly. The issue isn't your quarterback. It wasn't your coach. It is your owner.
Welcome to Cleveland. Welcome to Cleveland.
David Tepper is the Satan of your organization. He does not want to take responsibility for anything. From what I heard or from what I've read in multiple reports is both Josh McCown and Frank Reich wanted C.J. Stroud. Now it's coming out. Oh, David Tepper wanted C.J. Stroud and not Bryce Young and Frank Wright and Josh McCown. But did you know what Josh McCown and Frank Wright hasn't said? They haven't said a word.
Just remind you of Johnny Manziel or the Baker Mayfield.
100% does.
Like, yeah. And here's the thing. I actually don't believe that's accurate.
But you
right?
got
I don't believe that's accurate. And the reason why I don't believe that's accurate because what these guys are doing, they're on fire for not putting a product on the field, and they're like, "Well,
you got to give them more than 11 games, though, man. I mean, honestly,
no. My thing is like, you have to win games.
11 games.
They traded a lot.
That's what I'm saying. You're giving your head coach 11 games, rookie quarterback. You traded away DJ Moore. You traded away.
I need to see
Christian
more than
McCaffrey.
a win. I need to see more than a win. I need to see progression.
But I get that. But my issue is, look at the wide receivers on that team. How can that kid have regression when you traded away the best weapon that was before Christian McCaffrey? I mean, you traded away all that kid's talent, so now he's stuck in an organization where he doesn't have but a 33-year-old wide receiver. It is not Bryce Young's fault.
Who's been
it's
very
not
productive.
Frank Wright's fault. That is ownership.
DJ Chark's 25.
Frank Wright didn't make those trades. The GM and the owner did. Why is Frank Wright being fired?
I mean,
I feel bad
he's
for
being
Frank
fired
Wright.
for
This reminds me of Lovie Smith with the Bears.
He's being fired
after they went 10-6.
He's being fired for the defense.
The defense hasn't been playing bad, though.
It's
Their
mid.
secondary.
It's
yeah,
mid.
but guess what?
But they were like a top 12 last year.
I get that.
And the defense has gotten worse.
Yeah, but he's a new head coach. The dude's dealing with a rookie quarterback. He's dealing with no weapons on the offensive side of the ball. You have Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders going from Christian McCaffrey. You have Adam frickin' Thielen going from DJ Moore, who is blowing it up right now in Chicago.
It's hard. It's hard to defend Carolina's decisions either way.
No,
but I don't like that the coaches and the GM are coming out and saying, "Well, we wanted C.J. Stroud because they're getting fired." To me, that's a cop-out on them.
I haven't. No. What I'm saying is David Tepper said that he wanted C.J. Stroud, but the reports are he wanted Bryce. He forced them to take Bryce Young.
The reports are coming out that said David Tepper wanted C.J. Stroud? Okay, so I don't agree with that either.
It's all finger pointing right now. You don't know.
Right. I don't agree with that either.
It's all finger pointing.
I think the organization came to the conclusion that Bryce Young was the guy, whether they think so or not. They came to that conclusion. So to go back 11 weeks later and go, we wanted actually C.J. Stroud. Well, you had that choice. You were the number one pick in the draft.
Yeah.
You don't get a take back. Like you had the number one pick in the draft.
It's the same thing with Hugh Jackson saying, "Oh, I wanted Deshaun Watson instead of Baker Mayfield."
Yeah, you don't have that. You don't have that say.
When they didn't draft Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, you don't have that say.
No.
I to be honest, like
you can't. None of these conversations.
They don't
unless
matter.
You're in the room. Hold water. Right.
Yeah, and they don't even matter because 11 weeks later, you can say what you want if no one's ever heard the first words. So,
and if you're the owner, no one's going to argue with you.
That's the great thing about what we do because we record everything we say. You guys can go back and go clip. This is what you said, you freaking liar.
We try to be accurate, and guess what? We're wrong.
I try to be consistent.
Yeah.
I try to be consistent.
But let's get back to the game. We went on a little spell, but that's okay. You got the Panthers at the Buccaneers. You said don't start Bryce Young. I say start Bryce Young. Obviously, you're going to start Baker Mayfield, right?
I think you have to.
You start Adam Thielen. You start Mike Evans. You start
Mike Evans has gone for the last 3 or 4 outings against Carolina for over 140 yards and like 2 touchdowns.
He's, I think, 220 yards away from his 1,000-yard.
He's getting it. Here, let's put it this way. I don't remember his actual stat lines, but he averages roughly 47 fantasy points in the last 3 years against Carolina. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, he's good. He owns Carolina. He owns Carolina.
And it's mainly because Carolina plays zone defense and he picks apart zone defenses. So, I think you have to start Mike Evans. I think you can also start...
I'm sorry, he's 150 away.
From his record?
From his 1,000 yards.
Today.
I wish,
dude.
Tyreek Hill-esque. 150 yards.
Oh, my God. I'd love it. He had a 147-yard game this year, I think.
As of right now, with Baker Mayfield at the helm, he has 4 receptions, 850 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That is not bad.
Baker's capable of having 2,000-yard receivers.
He has more touchdowns than he had last year.
It's awesome. I mean, I'm going to be honest, this is great. I love this production. So, but my stardoms, Mike Evans, Rachaad White, Baker Mayfield, Adam Thielen.
Cade Otton?
No, I don't like. I never liked Cade Otton. He has one game here and there.
Obviously, you're starting Chuba Hubbard and White. Do you start?
Well, I think you have to start Chuba just because of the production and running back in this leagues.
Do you start Tampa's defense this week?
Sure. Yeah. I'd start any defense going against Bryce Young.
Just like any defense going against the Jets?
Yeah. You start any defense going against Zach Wilson. You start almost any defense going against, the Colts, because Gardner Minshew gives up the ball. They score, but he gives up the ball. You start any defense going against Arizona and the Steelers, right? Because they just don't produce.
No. The Panthers are getting 3.5. The over is 36.5, so they're calling for a low-scoring game.
Yeah, this is a Tampa Bay blowout. This is a Tampa Bay blowout, 28-14.
I'll agree with you. I'm taking Tampa.
Yeah, this is.
I know I said start Bryce Young. I think he's going to give you about 20 points, if that. He's going to give you enough.
That's a crazy line. Sorry. We're going to get to that tomorrow. That is a crazy line. But
Monday night.
Yeah, Monday. Cincy at Jacksonville, 9.5. Jacksonville favored. That's a crazy line.
Give me double digits all day. I'll take the Bengals with 10 points.
That's what I'm saying. I'll take the Bengals. That makes
no sense.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Cleveland.
So I'm taking Tampa. We're both taking Tampa.
Yep, we both took Tampa. Cleveland going into LA, second West Coast game. What do you got to say about this one, Wheels?
This is a must-win game for both teams.
Must-win game for both teams. 100% agree. And the Rams are favored by 5.
You cannot be the loser in this game. And I know that you can't.
That line. That line changed since Joe Flacco became the starter.
And I know you can't say.
Oh my God!
They can't tie. The Browns need to win.
They can't tie.
The Browns need to win this game.
No,
if the Browns lose and the Steelers win, we are in trouble for wild card talk for the rest of the year. You got a tough schedule here on out. Obviously, other than the Jets game. I'm
gonna laugh at this one. For all the teams out there, it's an AFC North week. All 4 AFC North teams win.
Oh yeah, the Baltimore Ravens will beat the bye. Don't worry.
It's the only thing that could happen.
If the Browns win, everybody else wins. Actually, no. If the Steelers lose, everybody else will lose.
Yeah, it's an all in or all out this week. 100%.
I'm gonna take the Rams.
That's fine. He's doing it on purpose.
No, I'm not. I don't like. I like Joe Flacco. My biggest worry in this game is the run defense.
I saw this tweet
against
Kyren Williams.
Kyren Williams. That is my biggest worry because if Myles Garrett is not fully healthy and you're not getting the quarterback, they're going to run on you. Or if Myles Garrett is healthy and you're getting the quarterback, you're going to run the ball all day long.
Yeah, Kyren Williams makes an impact. This is like
running defense. This is kind of like
last week. This is kind of like a Todd Gurley situation. Like Kyren Williams has that potential to pop off for 160 yards.
He had 45. Fucking Johnny scored 45 points against me last week.
I will say
Kyren.
Obviously, Kyren's a stardom. Kyren is 100% a stardom.
Do you start Joe Flacco? I don't hate it.
I think you 100% can start Joe Flacco. Look what Joe Flacco did with Garrett Wilson last year.
He beat the Browns with 90 seconds. What was it? 68 seconds left.
It was a blown coverage, but yes, he did on a 75-yard pass.
Hey, you know what? He's my quarterback. I'm gonna root for him right now.
You know what's funny? I saw this tweet.
What did Ryan say about this?
Well, no, I saw that Ryan loves Joe Flacco. He thinks Flacco was amazing, and he thinks Ryan still loves players, even though they leave his team. It's funny though because I saw this tweet that says Flacco, most overrated quarterback, blah blah blah, paid These were my thought processes 10 years ago.
Super Bowl winner.
These were my thought processes 10 years ago when he got that big contract and he didn't win that division, he didn't win that game. The defense did.
He's
Fuck
an MVP
Joe Flacco.
now.
Joe Flacco sucks. It's like, Joe Flacco, can you rescue me, please, Flacco?
And I know a lot of people are questioning why not start P.J. Walker.
No, I'm not.
You're not starting P.J. Walker because
turnovers.
There's a reason he played in the XFL and he was not on a team.
You have arguably the best defense in the league, and the only reason you're losing games is because you are in last place in differential. Last place in differential.
You cannot turn over the ball and not execute. That is the issue. We should have lost that Colts game. We were lucky to win it.
I think that's why the Browns win, because the Browns... The Browns win because when you look at what even P.J. Walker with turning over the ball, he still put up 31 points.
Yeah,
right?
I had a.
So that's why I'm saying the Browns win, right? Is because if we eliminate the turnovers, I think Flacco's capable of doing better than PJ Walker.
Without a doubt, he is. I had this conversation. Me and my brother Blake got into. I don't want to say an argument, but definitely a conversation, a heated debate.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, and I'm saying that Kevin Stefanski is the problem. He is saying he's not the problem. The problem is that we have turnovers and our team isn't executing at points when it needs to. And the more I take
that
back,
that all leans on the coach though.
Which I don't.
And
I don't doubt, but at some point, like we say, players play and coaches coach. You have to execute on the field. The coach can only coach so much, and I understand that play, that
then
triple reverse.
Explain to me why Jim Schwartz took a defense who was players play, coaches coach.
They added a
with
lot to
Joe
their
Woods.
defense.
With Joe, I don't care. I don't care. Joe Woods' secondary has not changed compared to Jim Schwartz's secondary. Has not.
No.
You went from John Johnson to Juan Thornhill.
Juan Thornhill, but Juan Thornhill hasn't really shown up this
No, I mean
year.
he's been productive. He's John Johnson though. They use him as a box safety.
I wish we
don't
never
know what to
lost
say.
John Johnson. John Johnson never missed a game. John Johnson was always healthy for us.
But this is my point though. Is like I understand the argument, but at some point you have to knock the turnovers off, and you have to practice tight coverage. You have the best corners in the league. If you're throwing interceptions, why? Oh, because our corners are great defense? Stop throwing interceptions in practice. Stop it.
But it's like DeJuan Jones. DeJuan Jones goes up against Myles Garrett every week, right? And he has been very good. Obviously, he's struggling.
Even Jedrick Wills has produced better and better and better.
Oh, yeah, I'm agreeing with you. But
going up against Myles Garrett, going up against Okoronkwo, going up against Dalvin Thomas, going up against Zanarius Smith. All of these guys, okay? I'm not arguing that defensive front is not stout, but my point is Jim Schwartz came in as a defensive leader and took all those pieces and is getting max value out of every single one of those pieces. Whereas, and I'm not hating on Stefanski. That's not what I'm doing. All I'm saying is some of the ownership has to be on the coach. I don't care if he has the best record with 80 games coached. I don't care. Some of the ownership of those turnovers has to be on the coach. Now, if you're talking about fumbles, right? Balls knocked out of guys' arms, that's on the player.
Yeah.
You're talking about interceptions, and you're talking about
dropped
even just pitches, right? So when you're just pitching it back to a running back, if there is a miscommunication there, it's because the play was not practiced enough. That should be like walking on the field. It should be second nature to these guys. A pitch back to the backfield.
Yeah, I mean that
100%.
That's football, baby.
I don't think Pierre Strong was built for that. No. Right? When that ball hit his chest, he was not built for that play.
That was more of a Kareem Hunt.
But he is a super fast player. No, it's not. It's an Elijah Moore play.
Yeah.
It's not Kareem Hunt, and it was not because both those guys are too slow. Dearness Johnson and Kareem Hunt are too slow to do the double reverse. It's Elijah Moore. They should have started it with Pierre Strong, and it should have went to Elijah Moore, and then Elijah Moore could have done something with it.
Yeah.
That's who Elijah Moore is. But that being said, you took the Rams.
Yeah, you took Cleveland, right?
I'm going to take Cleveland.
I'm taking the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams 24-13.
I'm going to take definitely I completely disagree with that. I'm definitely going to take Cleveland 28-27 Cleveland. So,
okay. This is the
I don't like the 40.5 line either. No. That's
a goofy
stupid
line.
low. I'll take the over on that all day.
This is our last 4:00 game.
Yep. You got San Fran going into Philly.
And this, let's go start and sit them. So Brock Purdy,
everybody,
and Jalen. Okay, that's fine. We'll just say start everybody.
DeAndre Swift, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Zach Ertz,
Christian McCaffrey.
You didn't get the joke?
He'll be on the team. He'll be on the team.
Ryan
Sunday
made a great point, by the way, the other day to me. He's like, why not the Ravens?
I don't want to see him on the Ravens. That's why.
But they are in the same predicament, right?
Dallas
and Mark Andrews is out.
Start.
Mark Andrews is out still 2 or 3 weeks longer.
Dallas Goedert is supposed to start.
I don't think he's going to start. He just hit the practice field this week. Broken arm, bro.
So you're starting everybody. I'm taking
Everybody but that tight end. Even I wouldn't even start Dallas Goedert if he started.
and Philly's getting 3, which is odd.
They're getting 3?
That is odd.
I know. San Fran being favored in this game is funny.
They're in Philly getting 3 points. Give me San Francisco.
Here's what I'm going to tell you.
The under-over is 47. Or, 40. No.
There's
47
something
and a half.
I have seen from Philly this year, and this is the reason why I have them as the best team in the country, is no matter when Philly is down, they always find a way to win. There is a tenacity. There is an energy on that team.
So you're taking Philly.
That says no matter what, we find a way to win. And if you make them an underdog in this game, there's no way they lose this game.
They shouldn't be an underdog. That's my point.
A 10-1 team should never be an underdog to an 8-3 team who lost to Cleveland.
With P.J. Walker.
Never be an underdog. And I understand Chase Young is a huge piece that they added to that opposite side of the
He did
field.
nothing last week.
It's not about what he does. It's about
what
the
he
double teams he
okay.
takes away from Bosa. And then he leaves Bosa single covered because you can't double team both.
I double team Bosa all day long then.
You can't. How the... Oh, you said both.
Bosa.
Yeah, I thought you said both. I was like, yeah, I agree. I would make Chase Young beat you and not Bosa. Right.
Take the better player out.
Yeah.
Not that hard. Well, it is hard because then you're relying
Bosa is also that good, though.
Yeah.
Like, Bosa and Myles Garrett are very, very, very
Mad
good
Max
defensive
all
ends.
them. So you're taking Philly. What's the score?
Well, the one person that I'm questioning in this game is Ayuk. Ayuk against these corners might be tough. And Brock Purdy, I think, might have probably the worst quarterback rating for maybe might be like that. It might be like that Minnesota game that he had 3 interceptions in like the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I don't like Brock Purdy. I still think he's going to be productive. I think George Kittle has a good game. I think Debo has a good game. I think Christian McCaffrey, Russell Wilson. I start Russell Wilson over Brock Purdy.
Okay.
And obviously you have to start Jalen Hurts. And then I think you have to start DeAndre Swift and Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
So I would take Philly in this game. I'm going to go a little lower scoring in this game. I'm going to go 24-21 Philly.
I went 27-24
Yep.
Niners. All right, and then our last game of the night,
which I do not have a graphic for,
is going to be
Kansas City going into Green Bay. I've been talking about this game for at least 7.
6.
I've been talking about this game for at least 7 days now.
Give
If you're going to bet, take Green Bay.
me the Packers. Straight.
Yeah, if you're going to bet, take Green Bay for the points. I don't think Kansas City's going to beat Green Bay by 6. But please, Jordan Love, do not let me down. I am betting on you this week. I have Green Bay winning this game by 10.
I have them winning 30
Green Bay.
21.
Do not let me down. 31-21. Do not let me down.
I have 30-21.
Yeah, if you take the top off, like they did against Detroit, I think that's that is the way to beat this team. They have no secondary. That is the way to beat this team.
And the Packers secondary is very good, even with trading.
Stardoms.
You're starting
Travis
both
Kelce,
quarterbacks.
Patrick Mahomes, Tucker Kraft, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, and I think at this point they figured it out. You got to start Watson,
and then on the other side, Justin Watson. Which one, Christian or Justin?
Christian Watson. Oh, Justin Watson's kind of like a flex.
He's a good.
You got to keep an eye on him. But I think Rashee Rice is going to score more points than Justin Watson. But Isaiah Pacheco's a stardom.
Yes. Because
the only way that Kansas City wins this game is if they keep the ball on the ground, which they don't do. But if they did, that's Kansas City's path to win. Is Pacheco has a great game.
Let's run through this real quick. We both took the Colts. You took the Falcons. I took the Jets. You took the Lions. I took the Saints. You took Houston. I took the Broncos. We both took the Chargers. We both took Arizona. You took Miami. I took Washington. We both took Tampa. You took Cleveland. I took the Rams. You took Philly. I picked the Niners. You picked Green Bay, and I picked Green Bay.
All right. I mean, we have like 5 likes, and everything's off this week. And 2 of those are contrarian picks. The Browns one, I think the Rams are probably going to win. But that's definitely a contrarian pick for me.
Yeah,
I want to hope that Flacco is the answer.
Yeah,
I really do.
He's our 4th quarterback starting this year.
Yeah, and
it's another whirlwind of just shit for Browns fans.
And then the other one for me is the Steelers Arizona one. I think the Steelers win that game.
If the Steelers win, the Browns win.
I just hope that Arizona wins that game. Arizona has the ability to win that game.
Yeah, if Arizona wins, the Browns need to win at 4.
Yeah. So
we'll be back tomorrow for what's tomorrow? We just talked about it. The Bengals,
Jacksonville.
The Bengals Jacksonville game. What are your takeaways today?
I'm tired. I got no sleep. I have 0 takeaways outside of. I keep in mind when it comes to running backs that they have a high value until they don't, right?
They fall off quick.
Yeah. Sell at a high point when it comes to certain players. Like one of the guys I'm looking at right now to selling, and I won't sell him obviously this year because we have a trade deadline, but I would probably look on next year is going to be the best year of Jonathan Taylor.
And then he's done.
And I'm not going to say he's done, but his ceiling will be next year.
Okay.
With Anthony Richardson, that healthy offense, his ceiling is next year. I would look to moving on from Jonathan Taylor from next year to the year after that and sell high. Don't sell when he's at rock bottom, because you invest a lot in a guy and then you go, oh, I got like a 3rd rounder out of him. Well, yeah, it's because it's a 28-year-old running back who might not have a job.
And he's missed like 18 games.
That next time someone tells me Nick Chubb's a cap casualty, you're an idiot. Just stop.
Nick Chubb is not a cap. Who said Nick Chubb was a cap?
Ryan. He's trying to push buttons.
He's a good button pusher.
For a guy that's
Ryan for you.
For a guy that's a J.K. Dobbins owner on his
and he hasn't
roster.
played more than like 200 snaps in 4 years.
I said you got a guy that's a cap casualty that you have to sign because you know his potential.
J.K.'s done.
I don't think J.K. gets a job. I agree.
I don't think J.K. gets signed again.
No, J.K.
sucks.
Well, he'll get signed by a team for like $3 million.
He's not starting.
Yep. He's going to have to prove a role.
So my takeaways for the day is OSU shouldn't be the 4, and SEC should be snubbed out.
Yeah, I agree.
We will see. That will happen in 2 hours and 15 minutes. So
is that the announcement?
Yep, 2 hours and 15 minutes is when it's like 2:15 after they do all the.
After they get all that done, check out on Facebook. Follow Wheels on Facebook, and he will probably announce that on Facebook.
You guys have a great day. Hit your bets. Only bet what you can give up or lose, and we will see you here tomorrow at 5:30.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
Later.